All right, I am awake. I said when I woke up I would make the vid showcasing the actual build. So here I am. So some of you probably saw it, some of you probably didn't, but I uploaded a video this morning showing a Flechette Storm with Wishful Ignorance, which is a Strand melee build, and it is absolutely insane. It is doing more damage than a Thundercrash, than a super. The setup is it's not too crazy. It's honestly pretty simple. It's not anything special. But this is insane, especially like in a raid environment. Now, I don't have my friends on at the moment to showcase it in a raid. I do plan on doing some raid boss stuff with this at some point, hopefully, especially with the new Wyvern boss. Basically, the setup is 4 Titans, 2 Song of Flames, and then you can just spam this melee over and over and over again. It's crazy. But anyways, as you can see in the video, I'm showcasing it, and it's hilarious. I showed it at the very beginning with Bastion, which adds melee damage, and then I showcased it with 1-2 punch. Bastion is better, but if you were like solo and you wanted to have your own tractor, 1-2 punch would be a good option as well, because tractor just adds a 30% weakness. But yeah, so it's absolutely insane. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the actual build so you guys can just copy this. I also will have a dim link in the description, or maybe I'll just have it as the pinned comment for you guys. So yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the build. All right, so straight into the build. Let's just go ahead and look at the Berserk subclass. So this stuff does not matter. There's only one melee, and grapple just, I don't know. The other nades kind of suck. You can use grapple just to grapple afterwards, or like if you get pushed away from the boss, you could grapple back. I don't believe grapple counts as melee damage anymore, by the way. Correct me if I'm wrong, YouTube comments, but I'm pretty sure this is grenade. So technically speaking, you're not going to get a huge amount of damage from the grapple melee, because again, you'd have to spec into grenade. But yeah, anyway, so aspects are Banner of War, which is extremely important, and Flechette Storm. You have to run these two. So you use Banner of War, by meleeing an ad or using a sword on an ad, you get Banner of War, and you automatically get a melee % increase. I don't remember what the exact number is. I want to say it's like 20 or 30%, but I honestly don't remember. So, yeah, anyways, but it's just free melee. And then Flechette Storm, which is what allows you to have that special slide melee, kind of like Consecration, but this time you're up in the air and you kind of just throw these things at the boss. So that is very important. Now for fragments, again, these are not make or break. This is just what I'm rocking. So first off, Woven Mail is actually important to this build, so I do recommend having Thread of Warding so that when you pick up an orb, you have Woven Mail. And I'll get to this in a little bit, but basically you're actually adding more melee damage by having Woven Mail. And then I have Thread of Continuity. Again, it makes Unravel, Suspend, and Sever last longer, and you are unraveling bosses with this, so it is more dot damage. And then my last 2 fragments are just for the plus 10 melees. I don't have a perfect 200 melee build yet. These are just free plus 10 melees, and I don't know. I think I ended up looking at all my fragments last night, and I didn't see anything that would improve the damage of this build, so that is why I just went with these. So obviously, like, Transmutation just gives you Final Weapon Blows gives you Woven Mail, or like Tangles. Or, sorry, while you have Woven Mail, Weapon Final Blows create a Tangle. So again, it's not really useful for the build, but it gets plus 10 melee, which is huge. And then Powered Melee Final Blows grant your Strand Weapons Unraveling rounds, plus 10 melee. Again, neither one of those add to the build. They're just for the 2 plus 10 melees. So, the next most important thing to this build, the must, is the exotic Wishful Ignorance. So, Wishful Ignorance gives you another Frenzy Blade, so you have a total of 4. And then, with Flechette Storm, every single time you hit the boss with one, it increases the damage of the next one. And so, if you're doing this correctly with teammates and stuff in your Banner of War, you should be able to throw 5, 6, 7, 8 Flechette Storms. It just kind of depends on how many people are with you. And like I said, if you do this in a raid with a total of 6 people, 5 people in your Banner of War, and you have like Song of Flames, you're just going to be throwing like 15 Flechette Storm Frenzy Blades at the enemies. It's ridiculous. I saw a video of it. It's hilarious. I can't wait to try it myself. Like I said, I just had to get my friends on. Hopefully I can do that today. Hopefully I can get some 6 gamers. And we can go do it. I want to do it immediately on the Wyvern boss, like I said before. And then after that, maybe something like Rolk, I think would be really fun, because there's constant take and thrall running around the Rolk room, and I think it would just be fun. But yeah, so I really do want to do want to mess with this in a raid environment. I have not had a chance to do that. But yeah, so that's your exotic. And then, like I said before, so you want to have 200 melee. 200 melee just gives you another 30% melee increase. So, we're already at, whatever melee damage is by default, which I'm not 100% sure. And then 200% gives you 30% more melee damage. And then, that Banner of War gives you another minimum of 20, I want to say. I think it's more than 20, but I can't remember. And I Googled it last night, and I couldn't find a exact number. People were guessing. I don't know if it's been nerfed in the past. I can't remember. But anyways, you're already like stacking melee damage. So it's already probably around like a 50% increase. And then you add Bastion. So hitting a target with most of the pellets in a burst increases melee damage. Again, I'm not exactly sure how much of an increase. It's probably at least another 10%. So again, you're just stacking melee. And this is the change to armor. This is the change to bonuses in Destiny 2 since last Tuesday. Before, we just had multipliers, which were massive, but you couldn't stack multipliers. Like specific ones, Bungie would end up making it so a lot of them wouldn't combine. Now you can stack as many melee bonuses as you want, or as many grenade bonuses as you want. So like that's why this is hitting so hard. So again, you have the Banner of War melee damage increase, you have the 200 melee increase, you have Bastion, you have Wishful Ignorance, which every time you hit a Flechette Storm, it increases. I don't know how much it increases per melee, but it's a good amount. So you just increase until you stop. So those are all the increases in melee for my weapons and my armor. And then I'll go over mods in a second, but next up, this is very important to the build. You have Shield Crush. So this is what I was talking about before, why you want the Woven Mail fragment. While you have Woven Mail, I'm going to skip the rest, your melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. So not only are you getting more damage, but you're making your melee recharge even quicker. So that's why, like, if you notice in the clips I showed at the beginning, I threw way more than 4, and that's because there's a couple reasons for that, but that's because of Shield Crush, that's because of 200 melee, or technically 100 melee charge, because that makes you at maximum like 190, I think, recharge rate. And then obviously some mods and stuff like that. But yeah, so Shield Crush is huge. This is a seasonal thing. Unfortunately, Woven Mail only lasts like 5 seconds, so you're really only going to get it for like 2 or 3 hits at most. Unless you have people like making a stupid amount of orbs around you. So again, like in a raid boss environment, you'd probably be able to continuously keep Shield Crush up if you had, a ton of orbs around and you're just able to walk over them constantly. But yeah, so this is very big to the build. And this is the first time I've actually really utilized something in the artifact. And I haven't, it's mostly just because I haven't gone deep into the artifact, but I am excited to do what I did last season and try to come up with some fun and interesting builds. We were actually on stream last night messing with a bunch of other stuff, but this was just the one that was insane. And now we can take a look at my armor mods. My weapon, the rest of my weapon stuff doesn't matter. So anyways, right off the bat, my helmet. I was just using, some siphons and powerful friends. Basically, powerful friends would be really good with teammates because, again, if you're all using powerful friends and you're all using, like if I said, if the perfect raid environment would be 4 of these builds, 4 Titans with this Flechette, Wishful Ignorance, and then 2 Warlocks. So again, you have 4 Titans all collecting orbs, giving each other armor charges, and it's just going to add to this. But like solo, this is not, your helmet's not make or break. I mean, you could rock, something like hands-on and just like have you're using your melee so much that you might be able to spam supers more often, but that's the main thing, is powerful friends with teammates. So this is one that's strange. I ended up rocking double melee kickstart. You could also run a fawn if you can't get 200 melee. Kickstart's weird. If I remember correctly, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, melee kickstart does not start until you've used all your melee charges. So for example, Wishful Ignorance gives you 4 melee charges. So melee kickstart will not kick in until you've used 4 melees, until they're all depleted. So if you like watching the video, you can see when my armor charges get used, but it's kind of hard to see like if I'm getting my melees because I'm spamming them so quickly. I'm assuming I am getting them back, but it's really hard to tell. And before, there's been issues with melee kickstart and specifically Frenzied Blade in the past where it just wasn't quite working. So like I said, I'm rocking these just because there's really nothing else here I could think of, because like, heavy-handed solo making orbs with the melee, but I don't really want to be using this melee until I get to the boss, so I'm not going to be killing it and making orbs. And like I said before, if you don't have 200 armor, melee fawn would be huge. That's just free melee stat. But you can't go over 200, so there's no reason for me to rock this. So like I said, I was using melee kickstart. I hope it's working. I think it is. It's not, make or break. And then next up on my chest piece, I was rocking 2 charged up, increase the maximum number of stacks of armor charges you can carry by 1. So this was, if you watch the video, you can see I could hold a total of 5 armor charges. And then on my legs, this is very important. You don't need to rock stacks on stacks. Stacks on stacks, just when you pick up an orb, you just get more armor charges. So for example, I was using 2 stacks on stacks, so when I pick up an orb, I should get 3 armor charges. But more importantly here is just don't have surges on. If you're doing this build and your goal is to just damage boss with like this melee build, you don't want surges on, because if you have surges on, your armor charges are going to deplete over time. They will not deplete over time as long as you don't have surges on or fonts on, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. They will stay until you have something like melee kickstart that needs to be turned on and then uses all of them, right? So that's kind of important with legs. And then last but not least, on my class item, again, not that important, but I was rocking a powerful attraction. Time dilation does absolutely nothing for this build, so ignore that. And then outreach, you could probably rock 2 outreaches and a powerful attraction, and then just use your barricade at one point to give you some more melee. Like again, the video is not showcasing in a raid, so in a raid it would be a little bit different, but this would be big in a raid if I could just put my barricade down and then just get free energy. Also, if you had like an extra slot, you don't have to use 2 charged up, or I mean, I do have an extra slot here. You could use something like invigoration for orb pickups for more melee charges, or class ability, which again kind of just goes back with the outreach. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. This video is already like 12 minutes long or 13 minutes long, so I don't really need to go on too much longer. But yeah, that's the build. It's like I said, it's not that complicated. You just have banner. Like basically, you just start the fight. You have stacks of Banner of War, which this is not new. Banner of War has been very, very good for well over a year, 2 years. I can't even remember when it came out. It's been a while. It was definitely Lightfall at some point, but it wasn't. I don't think it was Lightfall launch. But yeah, so Banner of War is not new. I feel like most Titans understand how Bannerfall works. The melee increase does not increase per stack of Banner. Banner just, it increases. So like you do want Banner of War ×4 in like a raid environment, because when it pulses, it actually, the more people in your ring of Banner, the faster you get melee energy. So that's why you would want 4 stacks of Banner. But again, the actual increase to melee damage is the same at Banner of War ×1 or Banner of War ×4. So that does not matter. But yeah, so like that's where you want to start. As soon as the raid boss, happens, you would shoot him with Bastion, and then bam, go nuts. Do the Flechette Storm, spam melee, spam charge melee over and over and over again until you're out. And then again, like if you have a Song of Flame active, you're not necessarily ever running out. But you could basically, once it depletes like the initial like 8 to 10 throws, I don't know how many it would be in a raid, it's a lot. But you would want to reproc Bastion. I have no idea how long the Bastion melee increase lasts, but you would definitely want to, at that point, reproc it. And that's it. It's that simple. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. This build is amazing. I hope that this doesn't get nerfed, just because it's really fun, and I think this is the future of this year of Destiny. This is the changes that we wanted with the armor. Armor actually is important. Being able to fully go into one stat is insane. And you can really feel it with this build, and this is the first of many. I mean, there's other builds that I'm going to make. There's a lot of Titan stuff I want to make, but eventually, I'm a Warlock main. I do want to find some stuff with Warlocks. I really hope that there's some crazy stuff like this on Warlocks. Maybe not boss killing, but just crazy eye clear and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.